We continue with the Nietzschean understanding of nihilism. After having seen the difference between Oriental nihilism, Russian nihilism, we have already situated Nietzschean nihilism. Now we are trying to present Nietzschean nihilism in different terms, and as I already told, he presents it in a symbolic, poetic language. It is not metaphysical, conceptual language. We have to understand logically, but he is speaking in a supra-logical sense. Symbols are used. In order to understand nihilism, Nietzschean nihilism, we presented it. Nihilism is the meeting between, this is nihilism. A meeting between decadence and tragic vision of life. Decadence and tragic vision of life. Saying no to decadence, that is nihilism. And saying no and saying yes, they go together. Yesterday I started speaking about the old year and the new year, they go together. He is saying goodbye to the old previous year, and that saying goodbye is also welcoming the new year. So also here, so nihilism is not dividing the whole thing into three sections. It has to be understood as the meeting between the old, the period of decadence, and the new. To the old saying no, and to the new saying yes. That is the nihilism. So meeting of both. Then, yesterday we stopped by saying that the announcement of nihilism is same as the announcement of the death of God. It is the same because decadence was made possible because there was a God who is the central point in the period of decadence. That God is removed, is no more. That God is dead. He makes a proclamation. And that proclamation of the death of God is same as the proclamation of the birth of nihilism. So I put in nice, beautiful terms. Death of God, birth of nihilism. So same announcement. While saying that God is dead, he is telling nihilism as he is born, nihilism as coming. Why nihilism and death of God are related? It is the same phenomenon. Because death of God, God was the center of the period of decadence. Everything was made meaningful in reference to God. That was the ultimate reference was God. Reference to the morality, reference to religion, reference to culture. God was the ultimate reference point. That reference point is removed. As a result, everything becomes meaningless, and that removal of the reference point, God, that is nihilism. That is why we not relate, identify death of God and birth of nihilism as the same event. Nihilism is decadence becoming conscious of itself, conscious of its decadent state. Nietzsche inaugurated nihilism. How? Because he became aware of the decadent state in which he was living. The people, the traditional period, traditional philosophy and theology or thought, they never thought, they did not take it as decadent. The moment you understand you are decaying, you are saying no to that one. That is called nihilism is decadence, becoming conscious of itself. When I am conscious that I am decadent, I am decaying, I am implicitly saying no to that one. That is nihilism. So last 2000 years, they never thought that we are living in a period of decadence. Nietzsche called it as the decadent state because he realized the decaying state of that period of time, period of thought. So that is the reason why I have put it here. The nihilism is decadence becoming conscious of itself, conscious of its own decadent state. I can give other examples, same as when we are conscious that we are sinful, we are at fault. That is already you are getting out of the sinful state. It is the first step towards getting out. When you are in sinful, when we have a justifying attitude to that one, then naturally you continue to be in sinful state. But when you are aware that I am in a sinful state, I am guilty, I am at fault, that consciousness, that awareness, that is the step towards coming out of sin. So also the awareness that I am in decaying state, I am already coming out of it, that is nihilism. So this awareness, the result of such awareness that it has been a decaying state in which we are perpetuating, was far-reaching. All that has been considered as sacrosanct. I put both adjectives together. Sacro means sacred, sanct, holy, sacrosanct. We to make it very holy, we join together sacrosanct. All that has been sacrosanct means very holy, untouchable. It is so sacred. They began to lose its ground. They began to become meaningless. So far, we never thought our philosophy could be tampered with. Our theology could be tampered with. Our culture, we have been thinking, especially people of that period, people of this period also, that means we are in the decadent state. People who do not think, we will come to that one, very disturbing philosophy it will give. People who are not prepared to think, they continue to be the decadent state. So here, all that has been considered as sacrosanct began to lose its ground and thus to become meaningless. Religion, we never thought the religion can become meaningless. Morality, metaphysics, culture, all those things were considered to be untouchable. So sacred, untouchable. Now suddenly they get collapsed, fall down, meaningless, suddenly become. So the result of that kind of awareness that we have been living in a decadent situation, decadent way of thinking, as a result of that one, everything which we are holding it, keeping them on the pedestal, they have suddenly fallen down. Now, as we have already said, Nietzschean nihilism, unlike the other, especially Russian nihilism and Christian nihilism, they were looking for a meaningful meaning elsewhere. Meaning elsewhere. That is the specificity of Russian nihilism or Christian nihilism. Nietzsche does not run away from the nihilism. That is what we want to say. He does not run away. You have to find meaning here. In this darkness, don't run away for where there is light. You make it bright. Don't look for where there is light, an imagined place. You make it meaningful, make it bright. Light will come when you are open to it. So many applications are there. Later thinkers, we will refer to those applications. Instead of running away from meaninglessness, instead of passive resignation, he proposes self-assertion through will to power. That is the tragic vision of life, the new vision, which he has only given the opening. But opening he has given. As I have already told, the merit of Nietzsche consists in the critique that he has made. He realized the decadent situation or the decadence that we have been perpetuating for last 2000 years. That was wonderful. He is the one who took the lead. Instead of that one, what does he propose? He proposes something new. A new, which he calls it tragic vision of life. We will see why it is tragic. But we can put it, is a new vision of life. I am saying no to the decadence. I have to say yes to something new. That yes is directed to the new vision. And so that he proposes through self-assertion through will to power. Now, when you say self-assertion, it can be misunderstood. Nietzsche is very much misunderstood, especially when some of his expression that he used, without knowing, when you know Nietzsche only part by part, taking the words in the literal sense. Just as I said, death of God, God is dead. Without knowing what does he mean by God is dead, people started pouring what is called curses on him, that he has said, God is dead. How it is possible? Immediately we are cursing him. But then without knowing what type of God is dead, is there a meaning for what he said? Instead of asking that one, we immediately jump into hasty conclusion, quick conclusion that he is an atheist. He has to be stoned to death. That was the immediate reaction. So also there are many other places where he was given room for being misunderstood. So self-assertion is one of the points. Okay, through will to power. Now we will see those points more elaborately. See, in order for the sake of a completion of the decadence and tragic vision, I'm just referring to it. Superman, because God is dead. Now, so God was giving the meaning in the period of decadence. Now, once that God is dead, in the new vision of life, Superman, which stands for the constant striving, is the meaning of the earth. I only anticipated. I changed the wording a little here. Otherwise, you may think that Superman is another God. Superman has got a different meaning, which we will see later. Superman stands for constant striving. A constant striving. Maybe I am anticipating, or which I will be repeatedly using the understanding of Nietzschean thought. What he is critical about is stagnation. A life of stagnation. When does something become decay? When there is no movement. When something is stagnant. When thought is stagnant, it is decaying. When religion is stagnant, it is decaying. When morality is stagnant, it is decaying. He is critical of stagnation. And what does he propose in its place? He is proposing creativity, dynamism, movement, life. I think if you have understood this one, if this basic thought has to be kept in mind to understand Nietzsche. He is critical of stagnation. Anything that does not move, anything that is stagnant, decaying, is critical of that one. And in that place, what is he proposing? He says dynamism, creativity, movement. That he is proposing as the new vision of life. So here, Superman stands for the constant striving. We are in the movement. We are never settled down. We are constant in the process of constant striving. That is the meaning of the earth. So meaning has to be got in one's constant striving. Meaning has to be got through that one, which we have to see yet. Man must remain true to the earth, the really real, rather than fleeing from it. Many implied meanings are there. The earth is the really real. Whom does he critique? He is criticizing Plato's philosophy. Plato's philosophy, the real is there. The ideal is the real. Here is only a copy. This is not the reality. We are only just playing with the copies in time and space. The philosophy has to be concerned about the really real, which is in the ideal world. As against Platonic position, Nietzsche says this earth here, in time and space, that is the really real. Don't think that philosophers have to go to the ideal world and find out what is over there, what is the truth, what is the tree. Here we have tree, it's only an image of tree, it's only a copy. It is not an idea, it is only a copy of the real tree is over there. So if we have to, philosophers must try to understand what is really real over there. And Nietzsche says, no. Come down here. Here is the really real. The earth in time and space. The reality here, that is the really real. Don't run away in search of a really real elsewhere. Again, the same phrases are coming again and again to my mind. Don't run away for the really real elsewhere. This is the really real. Man must say yes to the earth and life. This is the tragic vision of life, the new vision of meaningfulness. You say yes to this one. This is what I am. Heidegger would say in a different word, different phrases, different language. When you come to Heidegger, I may not remember this connection immediately there. But then he would say, this is your givenness. Don't run away from your givenness. These are your parents. This is the place you are born. This is your cultural background, intellectual background. This is what you are. Stand true to it. Remaining in your givenness. Instead of running from the givenness, you find meaning there. Heidegger has beautifully developed. That is why Heidegger is the one who developed based on the Nietzschean critique, the opening that is given by Nietzsche. Corresponding to the threefold step in human development, Nietzsche refers to ultimate man, higher man, and superman. Three terms he uses under the heading, you must have under the table. Ultimate man, higher man, and superman. Again, these are all poetic expressions. What is ultimate man? Ultimate man is the opposite of the superman, and he is the most decadent man. Ultimate man, what? Don't look in the dictionary and find out the meaning. He is using an expression to mean totally different from what he means by Superman. Superman is standing for dynamism, movement, a constant striving. Ultimate man is what? Dead man. Dead means not physical death, stagnant. The embodiment of decadence. Embodiment of decadence. That is the ultimate man. He is the most decadent man. So that is the term ultimate man in his thought, not the meaning but the symbolic, poetically uses ultimate man means the most decaying situation. Higher man, another term that he uses, corresponding to nihilism, refers to the thinking people convinced of nihilism. Higher man, you have seen the table. Higher man is placed under what? Under nihilism. Ultimate man under decadence. Superman under tragic vision of life. The under decadence, the most decaying, decadent situation, ultimate man. Superman stands for dynamism, movement. And what is higher man? That is which is placed under nihilism. That the ultimate and higher man stands for the thinking people. People who think. They are the people who are able to say no to what has been and to be able to say yes to something different. They are the thinking people. Higher man stands for the thinking people. And Superman is what Zarathustra announces as the meaning of the earth. Superman. Now Superman, that is the term corresponding to tragic vision of life. He says, is what Zarathustra announces as the meaning of the earth. Zarathustra that is the term used for this title of the book. Thus spoke Zarathustra, the most important book. And who is Zarathustra? Zarathustra is another name for Zoroaster. Zoroaster is the founder of Zoroastrianism. Parsis belong to that group. Why he has chosen Zarathustra? There are so many explanations. I need not give all the explanations. But one of the explanations that can be given is this. We keep it there. Sorry. So higher man refers to the thinking people who are convinced of a need, or convinced of a change. A change is required. I am prepared to, in the light of my thinking, I am prepared to say no to what has been. They are the higher men. And Superman is what Zarathustra announces as the meaning of the earth. And Zarathustra is Zoroaster, the founder of Zoroastrianism. Why he must have chosen Zarathustra? Maybe because they accept twofold ultimate principle. That must be one of the explanations. Two ultimate principles. The principle of good and the principle of evil. Two ultimate principles is accepted in Zoroastrianism and in Nietzschean thought also, which you may not be able to understand it now. Nietzschean thought is not choosing one at the expense of the other. Truth as opposed to falsity, beauty as opposed to ugliness. That kind of a thinking was prevalent for the last 2000 years, which you will study better when you come into postmodern thought. Now, there is no question about day and night. We cannot separate. Nietzsche thinks them together, not one saying one at the neglect of the other. So, which this thought will come up again, especially in the postmodern thought. So, keeping that thought in mind, it is understandable that he has chosen Zarathustra as the one who announces Superman as the meaning of the earth. It is presented in the Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Zarathustra comes and announces, I give you a new meaning. And he says, I give you Superman. Later we'll see what was the response of the people when Zarathustra announces that I am going to give you Superman. What was the response? We'll see. Very, very significant response was there. Okay, coming still further to refer to some of the terms that are used under the table, along with the table, that is, Nietzsche uses three symbols to refer to the three stages: camel, lion, and child. Why he has chosen the symbol of camel for decadence? Camel is under the burden of morals, founded by the great dragon god. In this decadent state, men are like frogs that see things in narrow perspective. I just read the whole thing. The ghost that frightens them is the phantom of conscience. Now he is telling camel patiently bears all that is placed on its back. It does not negate, it does not react. Camel, you place any burden on it, patiently, thoughtlessly it bears all that is placed on it. Typical example for decadence. Who does not think why the burdens are placed on me, and so on. He does not think. And that is camel for the corresponding to decadence. Then comes lion. Lion is not like camel. You place all the burden on the lion, you will see the reaction. Lion negates itself being a camel. What is lion? Negating oneself being a camel. I don't want to be a camel. That is a lion. People are not getting it. Lion is that self-assertion of saying no. No to what? No to being a camel. I don't want to be a camel. That is indirectly, it is telling, I want to be a lion. Its I will is a holy no to the burden of absolutism in philosophy, theology, morality, etc. Again, much is implied. It is saying no to what? Absolutely true, perennially right. Morality, religion, all those things were considered as, and the absolutism was part and parcel of the traditional philosophy and morality. Lion is telling no to that one. There cannot be anything absolutely and perennially true and right. So he's saying no to that one. To say no makes man feel guilty since he has not been used to it. That is the reason the period of nihilism is disturbing, because we are used to a life of saying yes to that one, adjusting to that one, thoughtlessly living. That is why education was not given much importance here and many other states, because the politicians are afraid that people will become able to think. They don't want people to think. Then they will question. Then they will understand the injustice done to them. Therefore, they prefer that they remain in perpetual ignorance. That is their what they want. They don't want people to be educated. It is only the other private enterprises from various religions, especially Christianity, they started and people became enlightened. And then, so the politicians, the part of the structures, They do not want people to be enlightened because they will think, they will question. Therefore, keep them always in perpetual submission. That is the typical of any established structure. Lion says no to that one. So, then coming to child, why child is used for the new vision? Child says yes. Child is a symbol of spontaneity. Symbol of spontaneity to the instinct of life. It remains true to the earth. It is not calculative, not logical, not rational, not systematic. Spontaneously it says yes. And that is what Nietzsche is proposing as the new vision of life, tragic vision of life. What he is proposing, a life and thought that is dynamic and spontaneous, not stagnant and dead. So, therefore, he gives the child as the symbol of the tragic vision of life. Thus, it finds meaning in the tragic vision of life. So, child finds meaning. So, child does not look for meaning elsewhere. It does not go for play elsewhere. It plays where it is. It finds play. What it does is the play. It does not have to go for this particular way or that particular way. So, okay. Now, these are the few thoughts they are to be understood. I have explained the meaning of the symbols that are used by Nietzsche. And now the thought, now you have to understand the thought. That needs reflection. I have given all that is required, the symbol, the meaning of what he is critical of and what he is proposing. Not simply writing camel, child, camel, lion and child. It does not make any sense. It is only Nietzschean explanation, Nietzschean symbolic way of presenting. But I have presented for you what is the meaning of each of these terms. What is the meaning of ultimate man? What is the meaning of higher man? What is the meaning of Superman? Which we will see more later. So that is, I think we have given a picture of Nietzschean nihilism as different from the other types of nihilism which were prevalent or present in the world. But Nietzsche's nihilism is totally different, and that has to be understood against the background of what has gone before. It is a saying of no, that is nihilism. And that saying of no is expressed in one phrase, God is dead. In one phrase. That means all that has been held as meaningful in reference to God, everything becomes meaningless. That is his presentation of nihilism. But then he does not stop there. He is presenting it with a view to, with an opening he is giving. How to go about saying no and not remaining. He has to find meaning. He has to find light in the darkness. And that is what he is trying to do in his thought. So, in that context, we are just referring to one thought that is presented by Nietzsche, which is normally not much considered in the history of thought. By the books on Nietzsche, you will not find much about this, what I am presenting it here. The Apollonian and the Dionysian, the Nietzsche interpretation. But I find it is very important, and it makes us understand how he landed up in this kind of thinking. We have already seen the struggle of thought that he had. He was in total darkness, not knowing where to move. Then slowly some light comes from the horizon. The dawn was written at that time. So I am presenting it here. Now here, this, what I am presenting it here is based on his first book, The Birth of Tragedy. The Birth of Tragedy. Actually, Nietzsche's purpose was the purpose of writing this book was how tragedies, Greek tragedies were born. Greek tragedies are famous. But then, how the Greeks came to these tragedies, this kind of very world famous literary works. Nietzsche wanted to think on that one. So he makes the birth of tragedy. Birth of tragedy means how tragedy got developed. And for that he makes a journey back to the Greek civilization. And there he finds before philosophy came into existence in Greek, it was mythology. Philosophy officially was begun with Socrates, Plato and Aristotle. They are the great masters. More about them we will see. That is these three, one after the other. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they are the great masters with whom Greek philosophy officially starts. But then what was the situation before? It was more of mythology. But then, were these mythologies meaningless? Now, the contemporary thought, we realize they are not meaningless. That is the way the Western thinkers were looking at the Indian thought. Indian thought is only mythology, simply stories. There is no precision. The precision and clarity that the Western thought had or has, the Indian thought does not have. But now, all over the world, people are started to realize, even the West, the value and the importance and the depth of mythology. Now, Nietzsche is only giving an opening. More is worked out by later thinkers. Now, here, when I say about Greek mythology, how in the context of Greek mythology, tragedies got developed. The Greek people, they looked up to some gods for consolation. And the beginning, at that period of time, life was not very comfortable. Life is a bundle of struggle. Everywhere, all over the world. Now, people do not know what is the meaning of struggle. The meaning of struggle is removed from the dictionary. Now struggle remains only in the dictionary. The struggle of pioneers. Others who sit on the chair, they do not know the struggle of pioneers. It is only, now it look for the meaning in the dictionary. Only that dictionary meaning remains now. So today, the beginning, all over the world, life was a bundle of struggle. And in the Greece also, it was so. And then naturally, they were looking up to the divine. And according to Greek mythology, there are so many gods are there. So many gods, they call it pantheon, the Greek pantheon. You can look in the dictionary and find out what is the meaning of Greek pantheon. In that, so many gods are made mention of. Two of the important gods that are made mention of are Apollo and Dionysius. Dionysius or Dionysos. Dionysius is the Latinized form. Dionysos is the Greek form. Anything can be used. Dionysius or Dionysos. These are the two important gods in the Greek mythology. Now Nietzsche finds a meaning for these gods. He is not making an analysis of these gods, but he finds what they are standing for. Apollo was the god of light, agriculture, prosperity, morality, order, discipline, organization, and so on. Apollo, discipline was there, morality was there. Everything is in order. Everything is well structured. Apollo was the god of that one. Discipline and order. We can give a list of other things. What is more important for you to understand is Apollo was the god of discipline and order and structure. And he was the patron of Greek civilization. And I don't go into what is important that I am giving. And then as different from Apollo, Dionysius was the god of vegetation. It's sprouting and dying, or dying and sprouting. That movement, the movement aspect, dynamism. He was the god of dynamism, movement, creativity, life. The other one is the god of order and discipline. So we find now Nietzsche is looking into the meaning of what these gods were standing for. More details, I have given some in the notes, but then what is important as far as explanation is concerned is enough. The two gods are standing for two ways or two outlook. One outlook is orderly, systematic, rational, disciplined, Apollo. Apollonian tendency. Other one is Dionysian. What is that tendency? Tendency of movement, dynamism, creativity, spontaneity, life. Not dead and stagnant movement. That is, Dionysius was god of that one. Now this is the apparently opposite elements are highlighted by Apollo and Dionysius. Nietzsche, in his book The Birth of Tragedy, he looks at the Greek culture and he finds both these elements were there in Greek culture. At certain period of time, Apollonian element was in excess. Then morality, philosophy, organization, structure, it was at its peak. When the Dionysian element was at its in excess or more, then there was creativity, art, dynamism, and so on, was more, and at the expense of the other one. Okay. So I read that sentence. One that asserts the two tendencies. He finds an opposition and continuous conflict between these two tendencies. What are the two tendencies? One that asserts the lawless, passionate instincts, Dionysian, passionate instincts. The other, the calm, ordered, rational thought, Apollonian. These are the two movements. When Apollonian attitude was excessive, it made the Greeks too intellectual to the detriment of life and art. It became more intellectual, rational thought was developed when Apollonian element was in excess. But then, when the other one, when Dionysian attitude was in excess, there arose instinctive and creative expressions. So this one period, one time, Apollonian element gave rise to philosophy, intellectual development, order, and so on. The other one, art, and so on. Art and life. Now these two tendencies, the Greek genius could not keep them apart. One is moving more orderly, the other one is, I don't say disorderly, the other one is more dynamic. This one is more static, This one is more dynamic. Two opposite ways of opening, opposite tendencies. The Greek genius, Nietzsche says, that is his reflection, could not keep them apart. So these two tendencies were brought together, according to Nietzsche, synthesized in tragedy. These two tendencies were synthesized in tragedy. And that I have given a definition given by Nietzsche. Tragedy is an Apollonian embodiment of Dionysian instincts and powers. If you try to look in the dictionary, you will not get it. Only thinking people only can get it. Tragedy is the Apollonian embodiment. Apollonian embodiment. Embodiment means giving shape. Embodied. Apollo is known for the shaping, giving shape. And of what? Embodiment of Dionysian instincts and powers. The emotions, the instincts, the intuitions, they are given a shape. That giving shape is Apollonian. When you give shape, we are putting a border, we are putting a boundary, we are giving a shape. So whatever be the shape, I am putting a boundary. Apollonian tendency is shaping. But shaping what? The unshapely. What is unshapely? The Dionysian aspects. Dionysian aspects of intuition, emotion, that is given some shape in tragedy. Now let me be simpler. The emotion of despair. Despair is an intuition, a gripping intuition, that is Dionysian. That Dionysian intuition is given some shape. It is presented in a particular shape. Tragedy is that one. Tragedy, when someone writes a tragedy, he is giving a shape for the instinct of what did I tell? Instinct of despair, the instinct of love, instinct of what is called hope. Whatever be this one, the instinct does not have any shape. That is given a shape by the Apollonian tendency. Both are brought together. The instincts, they are Dionysian, but giving shape, that is Apollonian. When a poet writes about love, every poet has his own way of presenting it. He is presenting it in a particular shape. Love, he is presented in a particular way. He is using the Apollonian embodiment, giving shape for love. Love itself is what? Is Dionysian. It is simply movement. It is unshapely. It has no shape. It is only movement, dynamism. That is given some shape. When the tragedies were written, they were giving the Apollonian leaning of giving shape or order to that which has no order. But that is not a stagnating, it is only giving a borderline. This is the way, this is tragedy, or this is despair, this is sorrow, this is why he committed suicide. We are presenting in a particular way. That way is Apollonian, but what is given shape is the Dionysian. So in Greek tragedies, both the elements are brought together. The element of despair, pain, sorrow is presented in a particular mode, in a particular language, in a particular shape. That is tragedy. So Nietzsche's reflection came to that how tragedies were born. Originally, these two tendencies, they were brought together in Greek tragedy.